In the early 1990s, there was allegedly a plot to murder Joe Massino, the then new boss of the Bonanno crime family. Let's check it out. I'm James Gladwish and welcome to OC Shorts, bringing you detailed historical snapshots of the American Mafia and other organised crime. Feel free to subscribe if you like that sort of thing. Today, we're going to take a quick look at the time when Bonanno crime family boss Joe Massino was allegedly marked for death in the early 90s. In 2004, Bonanno crime family boss Joseph Massino was convicted of various racketeering charges, including murder. He famously became a government informant, and even secretly recorded his acting boss Vincent Vinny Gorgeous Basciano in 2005, while they were both being held at the MDC in Brooklyn. In 2011, Joe Massino testified in court at Vincent Basciano's trial. Basciano was on trial for ordering the murder of mob associate Randy Pizzolo. During Joe Massino's testimony, he described an incident where he found out that there was a potential plot to have him murdered, not long after he became boss of the Bonanno crime family. In June 1991, Bonanno crime family boss Philip Rusty Rastelli passed away from liver cancer. At the time of Rastelli's death, his underboss Joe Massino was in prison, serving time on a hijacking conviction. He would succeed Rastelli as boss, and was then released from prison in late 1992 under supervised release. According to Joe Massino's testimony, he learned in 1993 that his life was possibly in danger, and that it was the Genovese crime family that laid down the law to ensure that nothing happened to him. Massino's testimony states, question, and then you continue on lines 19 through 22, and George was told from the West, said listen, we're not going through another Paul situation, Joe's the boss. Starting on line 19, who are you referring to when you mention John? Massino, John Gotti. Question, and when you said George was told from the West, who is the George? Massino, George from Canada. Question, and the West is who? Massino, Genovese Family. Question, what were you referring to when you said George was told from the West? Massino, I just came home and Barney sent for George. Barney's a captain and was on the panel with the Genovese family, and he told him, listen, I hear certain things. We're not going for another Paul Castellano murder. If anybody is going to kill Joe, it's going to be an all-out war. Joe is the official boss. So before we take a look at this extract, let's review who is mentioned. George from Canada was Gerlando George from Canada Sciascia, a Bonanno family mobster. The Barney mentioned was Liborio Barney Bellomo, a high-ranking Genovese family mobster. When Massino refers to the West, he means the West Side, which was a name used to refer to the Genovese crime family. And, as it states, the John mentioned was John Gotti. Joe Massino's testimony is stating that Barney Bellomo, who some sources state was the acting boss or street boss of the Genovese family at the time, had sent for George from Canada and told him that the Genovese family had heard rumours, presumably about a plot on Joe Massino's life. Bellomo tells George from Canada that the Genovese family do not want another Paul Castellano assassination type scenario, a hit that was not sanctioned by the commission. He explains that Joe Massino is the boss of the Bonanno family, and that there would be serious repercussions in terms of an all-out war if anything were to happen to Massino. It isn't clear from the testimony who exactly might be plotting to take out Massino. It could perhaps be seen as significant that Liborio Bellomo delivered his message to George Sciascia, who was closely connected with the Rizzutos in Canada, who, depending on the source that you read, were allegedly a faction of the Bonanno crime family based in Canada, However, they had an independent streak. But this is purely speculation. Joe Massino had been in prison for over half a decade, and there may well have been a whole host of mobsters who felt that they should be boss after Rastelli had died. Massino's testimony continues, and he clarifies a few points. The testimony reads, Question: When did you come home? What are you referring to? Massino: I came home 1992. Question: So, after you were released from prison, you got a message? Massino: I got a message in 93. Question: Regarding the possibility that your life, might be in jeopardy? Massino: At that point, I didn't know what he was talking about. I thought he was talking about himself. George from Canada, because Barney said, we're not going to tolerate nothing. It took me to get arrested in 2003. I was on the floor with Barney, and Barney told me the story, and I put the pieces together. Question: When you mention a Paul situation, what do you mean by that? Massino: John Gotti killed Paul Castellano, and that the other families weren't going to go for it if I got killed. There would be a war. Question: Approximately when did John Gotti kill Paul Castellano? Massino: December 1985. Question: What was Paul Castellano's position in organised crime at the time? Massino: He was the boss of the Gambino family. Question: What was John Gotti's position? Massino: He was an acting captain. Question: After killing Paul Castellano, what happened to John Gotti Sr.? Massino: He became the boss. In this part of the testimony, we can see that Joe Massino reconfirms the year that he received the message, 1993. Massino then explains that when he was arrested in 2003, he was on the same floor of the detention centre as Barney Bellomo, and the pair discussed the 1993 incident, and how the Genovese family were not going to tolerate a move against Massino. If Joe Massino's testimony is to be believed, it is evident that the Genovese family were strongly against any attempt on Massino's life. This could have been for multiple reasons. The Genovese family were against any family boss being killed without commission approval, and they didn't want any further heat from law enforcement that would happen with the killing of a family boss. Or perhaps they had a good working relationship with Joe Massino. Barney Bellomo's statement that there would be an all-out war if Massino was killed may be slightly exaggerated. However, after Paul Castellano was murdered, it is alleged that Genovese family boss Cingiganti pulled the strings in the background, while the Lucchese family tried to take revenge on those loyal to new Gambino family boss John Gotti, one of the men behind the unauthorized Castellano hit. John Gotti's underboss, Frankie DeCicco, was killed in a car bomb that was allegedly meant for John Gotti. Gambino mobster Eddie Lino was gunned down by Lucchese-connected mafia cops Louis Ippolito and Steve Caracappa, and Gambino mobster Bobby Boriello was gunned down in his driveway by Lucchese mobster Frank Lastorino. It can be argued that the murders of Lino and Boriello occurred due to other reasons. But there are those who speculate that these killings were part of a plot to take out people close to John Gotti in revenge for Gotti sanctioning the hit on family boss Paul Castellano. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching.